So this has been a question that has been leaving me scratching my head and wondering, are old games actually better than newer games? Because if you look at the trajectory of the Nintendo Switch, you see that a lot of their very popular games are actually older games, so remasters or remakes from older games. So that left me wondering if actually the older game is better. Anyways, let's get into it. Now, when you look at old games, I would say we start at Nintendo 64, the GameCube, the Wii. Now, these are fantastic platforms, and honestly, you gotta admit that they've made some of the most nostalgic games. But in terms of are these games actually better? Well, when you take a look at it, this console, the GameCube, made some of the greatest games of all time. Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker. Maybe we can consider Twilight Princess, if you will. But this console right here seems to be regarded as the master of remasters. And honestly, I think that just maybe is it actually the game that are good, because Legend of Zelda Wind Waker is a fantastic game. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is a beautiful game. But is it because the game's actually good? Or is it nostalgia playing and then it pushes more of the internet saying, okay, this game's actually good, and then the internet responds with, you know what, this game's actually good, hey. But as if someone was just like, hey, this is a new game, we never even tried it, okay, let's get into it. Maybe you're not enjoying it, but then if you go out and say your opinion, people are gonna hate you for that. So overall, it's a mixed situation, because if you look at the games, is it actually good? Now, there's some old games that a lot of people think that are really, really good, but then, yeah, you play them and you realize, what in the world is this game? But it's not always like that. There's a lot of games that are really, really great. And when you take a remaster, for example, from Nintendo, Nintendo seems to make a lot of profit from selling their old games. Now, may that be because everyone wants to play them on the current system? I can be very guilty of this. Or is it because, they like to just have all their games all at once or something? Maybe. Or maybe they never played it and they really need a remaster or a remake. But when you take a look at the old games, I think that they're actually better. It looks like Nintendo took time making their games. Now, I'm not going to say that they're not taking time in making their games, because this is not true. Nintendo's probably one of the only companies left that actually take time, wait until the game is finished before releasing. But when you take a look at this, okay, so let's take a look at Paper Mario the Origami King and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. What made this game so special? Now, Thousand Year Door had a lot, actually a lot. The combat system was beautiful. Everything about it was beautiful. Honestly, the game itself was super, super fun. But then when you look at Origami King, I never actually played Origami King, but this seems to be the widely accepted worst Paper Mario game. So, what happened? Did this game just, made a foundation and then Nintendo went completely off script and didn't know what people liked? Or is it because people can't accept to change the game a bit? They need to keep it when older games blow up, it's harder to change the formula again. That could be the possibility, because honestly, I think that older games are pretty cool, but once in a while you need a fresh refresh. Okay, so now The Legend of Zelda really seems to be a great pick for this. Now, if you look at The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, arguably one of the greatest games out there, you pick a newer game like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. They seem like those games keep moving forwards there's no arguably worse Zelda game, they're all really, really good. But then when you take a look at a game like Luigi's Mansion, now this series is pretty great. The first one really was accepted as a great one. But then when you move on to the 3DS where they released Luigi's Mansion Dark Mood, not a lot of people like that. Not a lot of people like the change from, instead of going from one floor to the next floor to the next floor, it was more like a level-based system. So is it nostalgia playing? Okay, well, I don't want Luigi's Mansion to change because this one already set a foundation and now we're on to this one. Or is it because the game actually sucked? Because I honestly thought that Luigi's Mansion 2 was a really great game. But then when you move on to the Nintendo Switch, they released Luigi's Mansion 3 with the, floor-based system, and of course, that game is arguably the best Luigi's Mansion game. So, once an old game sets a foundation, is this what we're seeing? Once it sets a foundation, you can't ever change it, or it's really, really hard to change it. Pokemon is a great example of this, a really great example of this. If you look at a Pokemon game like Pokemon Emerald, or maybe Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver. These games, they just was a straightforward thing. You click a button, you attack, you move around to wherever you want to go, you catch Pokemon, you battle things, it's Pokemon. But then when you take a look at the newer Pokemon games like Pokemon Sword, Pokemon Shield, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, this changed up too much and people started disliking the games. Or is it because the game looked bad? Now, this is more like a weird topic with Pokemon. Is it the gameplay that's bad, or is it the art style is bad? For me, I love Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but I have to admit that the art style that they used was pretty bad. But maybe Pokemon isn't the best example for this. Okay, well then let's move on to Kirby. Now Kirby, if you look at the newer Kirby games are pretty great, but every time there's a mention about Kirby's Planet Robobot, everyone seems to jump to the thing and say, hey, we need this game. So what is it? We're not going to be talking about Forgotten Lands right now, because Forgotten Land is a completely new, different thing, and honestly, you can't compete with Forgotten Land. But let's just take something like Kirby's Star Allies. Now, Kirby Star Allies was arguably regarded as the worst Kirby game. But why? This game was pretty great on Nintendo Switch. Is it because it's too easy? It's 4 hours long? Or is it nostalgia playing once again? So, honestly, I would say that for the older games, that really set a foundation. Now, if the game didn't set a foundation, it was kind of okay on the GameCube, it's kind of okay on the Wii. They're not really gonna notice the difference, but when games start to change too much, this is where the thing happens. Like if the game already set the foundation to what the games actually are, like Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, and then you just all of a sudden move on the Color Splash or something like that, there's gonna be a lot of confusion on what the heck happened here. So if you take example like a game that really didn't set a foundation, maybe you'll see something greater. So the games that set a foundation, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, they set the foundation and they really followed through with that foundation. Okay, for the Zelda, you go out there and you save whoever needs help. And you do a whole bunch of different dungeons and puzzles to get your way there. Paper Mario, you just stomp on enemies, you go and collect things, you go and explore what you can explore. So yeah, those games set a foundation. But maybe there's other games that didn't. Like maybe we could talk about Kirby. On the GameCube, it didn't really set a foundation that well. But then when you move over to the 3DS, the foundation was there. It was really strong. And then when you moved over to something that the community didn't like, well, there was a little bit of problems there. So I think that this is actually why older games are better than the newer games. Because once there's a foundation that was created years ago, people are too scared to admit that, hey, you know what, this is probably just nostalgia playing. I love this game. This was one of my favorite games. I played this, and I really wish that I could have the same experience that I had back in the day. So that's probably what it is. Because there's a lot of new games that are really underappreciated on how good they are. It's just compared to the older counterpart, which is supposed to be better. But I don't think it's this. I just think that people played this game before, and then they want to see the same experience that they had. But newsflash, you're not going to ever get the same experience for a game because Nintendo and a whole bunch of companies want to try something different. And different is okay. Unless you can completely make the game truly special once again, get all the ideas, pretty much copy it. If they do that, they copy it, there's going to be a lot of problems there. Well, this is a carbon copy. So you really can't really get your thing right. If you like old games, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of ways that you can play your older game. Your Wii, the GameCube, Nintendo's releasing them with the game emulation device. But then the newer games, hey, they're there. So overall, that's probably been my topic. Leave your comments in the comment section down below with this. Are old games actually better? Because this is the only reason I would think that the old games would be better. Because they laid a foundation and people just don't know where to go. There was a lot of time getting put into these games, but then there's a lot more time now. So overall, it's a weird situation. I kind of just want to talk about it with you for a bit. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next one, and consider to have a fantastic day.